It is now 11 o'clock. We will be conducting a hearing for our nominee, Lauren Greene, and I'll be reading a letter from the governor. Dear councilors, I am pleased to nominate Lauren Greene to the position of Associate Justice of District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Governor Maura Healey. I would like to introduce our counselors who are with us this morning. We have Counselor Maura Dolan, Counselor Ferreira, Counselor Ianella, Counselor Ted Kennedy. We have Counselor Paul DiPaolo and Counselor Tara Jacobs. And Lauren, congratulations on your nomination. Can you please introduce your friends and family that you have with us today?
Do my best. So starting behind me is Chief Brian Carver, who's the Chief Court Officer of the Stoughton District Court. And we had worked together also back in the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. Next to him is Judge Jim Coffey, who's now the First Justice of the Boston Municipal Central Division, but had been one of the Associate Justices in the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court, where we worked together. Next to him is my son, John Petrino. I'm very excited to be here today. My husband, Chris. My friend and one of my witnesses, Kristen Bonavita, Monica Collins, who's an assistant clerk magistrate in the Stoughton District Court, First Justice Brian Walsh of the Stoughton District Court, another one of my witnesses, the chairman of the Gaming Commission, Jordan Maynard, who's a good dear friend. Then Judge Dan O'Malley, former colleague at Stoughton District Court and good friend. Next to him is Lynn Fagenbaum, who's a good friend from the District Attorney's Office. And my father, Jim Greene, is over there, hiding in the corner.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Can you please give your first the seat, please?
Thank you. Good morning, counselors. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about my former colleague, someone who I both respect and admire, who's become a dear friend, Lauren Greene. There's no doubt in my mind that Lauren will make an excellent district court judge, and I'm proud to be here today to tell you why. Professionally, Lauren is an outstanding attorney. She's a skilled litigator, she's diligent, she's knowledgeable, she's prepared, she's well-spoken. But what sets Lauren apart is her demeanor. Lauren treats everyone with dignity. She treats everybody with respect. I remember 20 years ago when we were starting out as prosecutors in the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court, Lauren already understood the impact of her decisions. Someone once said that Lauren has a confident voice, but that she exercises that voice responsibly. And I echo that sentiment. On a personal level, Lauren is compassionate. She's open-minded and she's ethical. I've been practicing criminal defense for the last 15 years, and I look to Lauren for guidance on a regular basis. The reason I do so, sure, she's a breath of information. She can call down to what's important on a case very quickly. She can point out the pros and cons to my cases. But what I value, the reason I turn to her, is her balance. She comes to any issue with perspective. She's got an innate sense of fairness. And that's what I value in my practice. In terms of leadership, she's a gifted leader. In environments where she's a leader, she generates community. She listens to people. She really listens to people and makes them feel heard and understood. She's able to motivate her people, and she leads by example. I've had the opportunity to see Lauren in so many different capacities: friend, colleague, lawyer, leader, supervisor, mother, and magistrate. And each one of those, she is successful because of her integrity and because of her empathy. Those two traits, combined with her perfect judicial temperament, will make her an excellent district court judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, counselors?
Thank you. I get about half hour's work. Did you move all my cases to Newbury?
Got you covered, Counselor Kennedy.
Great to see you.
You too.
Okay, we'll have our next witness, Honorable Brian Walsh.
It's tough to follow, no glasses and really no notes. Clearly, she's much younger than I am, and I want to be precise. And I got the message to be brief. You're lucky you didn't get Judge Farrell today. I'll just leave it at that. I want to thank the members of the council for this executive council for having me back again. Some of you, I remember when I sat in this chair to my right, and others, it's a pleasure to meet you today. It's an honor and privilege to be here again before this council to speak on behalf of Lauren Greene. I came to know Lauren when I was going through my own judicial nominating process, and I have to say I'm indebted to her for her kindness and her understanding and the calming influence that she had, not only on me, but I'm sure a number of applicants that went through what can be a very anxious process for all of us. I was thrilled when I was fortunate enough to find out I was going to be going to Stoughton and finding a new home after Judge O'Malley for the chance to work with Lauren. I learned that we come from very similar backgrounds. She from Jamaica Plain and I from Brighton. I attended Boston Latin Academy and Lauren attended some other safety school in the other side of the city. Boston Latin School. We both were proud Boston scholars at Boston University and then on to Suffolk University Law School. We both served as ADAs in Dorchester District Court for time, although I was probably a decade or more before she. In essence, Lauren is personal. She is intelligent. She is empathetic, organized to a T, and armed with a timely sense of humor. I see it every day in Stoughton. She's at the counter helping our constituents, the people that find their way to these neighborhood courts. She's in the session calling the list. She can navigate the most excitable attorney or litigant with surgical precision using her skills of de-escalation and her personality. She leads by example. She was the first one to jump in to help find an answer, to come up with a creative solution and make our courthouse in Stoughton function as efficiently as it does. When Lauren gets to a busy courthouse where the judge's mantra will be, we're not done until we're all done, she's going to fit right in. She is the consummate team player. Lauren was instrumental to the return of a jury session in Stoughton over the last few months. To say that losing Lauren will be a blow to all of us is an understatement, but it will confirm that each of you see what we get to see in Stoughton every year. She's been preparing for this next challenge for a long time. She put in the work in areas that she might not have been as well versed in. We talk about civil all the time, not the applicability of the rule against perpetuities relative to the ownership of Blackacre or the liability of the fertile octogenarian who may have taken Mrs. Fallsgraf widgets into the zone of danger. No, what we talk about are the cases that she's going to see in the district court. We've talked about negligence cases. We've talked about contract disputes, landlord-tenant things, debt cases, the types of cases that find their home in the district court. She did her homework. She asked the right questions. She talked to me about how to value a case and, more importantly, how to get lawyers to come together and actually have conversations in the name of resolving cases. Those traits will undoubtedly serve her well as a judge. She was raised and schooled in a very diverse community. She appreciates the differences of the people who are going to appear before her. She has the legal acumen and, quite frankly, the street smarts because she just gets it. She's an excellent lawyer. She's a loving wife to Chris and a proud mother to Ava and John and a friend to so many of us. I look forward to welcoming her as a judicial colleague, but more important, I'm blessed to know her, and I'm grateful to be able to call her my friend. I'm happy to take any questions you might have, but under the foul rule, I'll sit quietly unless asked.
Thank you. Any questions, counselors?
Well, it's good to see you, Judge.
You as well. Thank you very
We'll
much.
see you in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that later.
I just want to say I'm happy to see all my 3 judges that I've worked with. Judge O'Malley, Judge Walsh, and Judge Coffey was the first judge I interacted with in Dorchester Court, and I'm happy to see that he's still looking young. So is there any oppositions? Hearing none, Lauren, the floor is yours.
Good morning, counselors. First and foremost, I would like to thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for this incredible honor. I appreciate the faith and trust that they have shown in me with this nomination. I would like to thank Chief Legal Counsel Jesse Boodoo, Deputy Legal Counsel and Executive Director of the Judicial Nominating Commission, Dara Kesselheim, Kimberly Baptiste, for their guidance, support, and encouragement throughout the process. Thank you also to the members of the Judicial Nominating Commission for their incredible hard work and dedication in vetting candidates for these most important roles. And thank you to the Governor's Council team, Sonia Altamirano, Aaron Thomas, and Linda Paris, for your help in this process. I would like to thank you, counselors, for the time that you have afforded me since my nomination. I truly appreciate the significant amount of work and dedication that each of you put into this important role, and I know how much the judiciary and the trial court mean to each of you. I would like to thank my speakers, Judge Walsh and Kristen Bonavita. Judge Walsh, I am very thankful for your friendship, your support, and your deep knowledge of civil law. And Kristen, whom I can't believe I actually almost met 20 years ago, I guess it was in kindergarten. I am so grateful to count you as a friend, a mentor, and a role model. Everyone should be as lucky to have you in their own clipboard of contact numbers. To my friends here in this room and those watching on Zoom, thank you for being constant cheerleaders and sources of encouragement throughout this process. Thank you also to my Stoughton District Court family, some of which are here present today. And I hope the rest are not watching on Zoom because Officer Reddington needs his mitts and his haves. You all have made my time in Stoughton incredibly special. Our court has truly become an amazing team, and you have all helped make that happen. Thank you to my family, my amazing parents, Jim and Mary Lou. I am so fortunate and blessed to be your daughter. I could not have better role models in how to balance career and family. To my husband, Chris, thank you for always being a wonderful support and encouragement, and my best friend. John, who is here today, is 11 going on 12. He loves, not necessarily in this order, baseball, basketball, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, and next week we'll find out how he feels about football. He also is an expert on all things Julius Caesar. He is also the most amazing and generous big brother and son. My daughter Ava is currently attending soccer camp because if you know Ava, you know that soccer is one of her passions, probably over her mother. I don't hold that against her. That also goes with skiing, basketball, dancing, doing cartwheels in the kitchen, squishmallows, and hot dogs. She will be 10 next week. She is the best cheerleader to her brother and gives excellent hugs, and we could not have a more loving daughter. I am beyond proud to be their mother, and everything I have done is for them. A wise person once advised, in the land of the Governor's Council, brevity is king, or perhaps I should say to Counselor Civil, it is queen. So I know that you have my resume and my questionnaire, so allow me to take this opportunity to share more about what has led me here today. When I first applied to be a clerk, my children asked me what that job was about. I explained the role of clerk, that it is both managerial and magisterial, that I would work with the team to help make sure that the court ran smoothly. I would conduct hearings and review reports, and my son's eyes began to glaze over. Sensing I had lost my audience, I simply said, I would mainly be helping people. He looked at me directly, nodded, and said, that makes sense, Mom. You like helping people. And he's right. Not just because he's my son and therefore insanely intuitive, but because over the course of my personal and professional life, that is what I have strived to do. Whether it was helping victims or witnesses by ensuring that their voices were heard, whether it was mentoring newer ADAs in trial practice, whether it was by serving the Commonwealth to help ensure highly qualified candidates came before this body, or whether it is my current role as clerk, I like helping others. And respectfully, I believe I can help a lot more people in this new opportunity. There's a line in Chuck Palahniuk's book, Invisible Monsters. I am the combined effort of everyone I have known. I sit here before you today, someone whose perspective has been shaped by the impacts of so many people that I have met and connected with over the years. As a young child growing up in the Jamaica Plain section of Boston, my parents prioritized the values of community, family, and service. Whether it was volunteering for Earth Day cleanups, skipping Thanksgiving Day games at Boston Latin to serve meals at the Pine Street Inn, or spending my holiday break in Chimbote, Peru, delivering medical supplies to a maternity hospital, my parents wanted my siblings and I to understand that we should appreciate the privileges we had while growing up and use them to help others, to leave the world a little better place than we had found it. As a young ADA in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, I worked with the Safe Neighborhood Initiative, a program that brought law enforcement and community groups together with the common goal of working to improve quality of life for residents. There, I learned more outside the courtroom than in. In these meetings, we learned about young people whose lives had been impacted by familial histories of mental health abuse, substance abuse, and socioeconomic instability. people who needed to be connected with resources, such as rehabilitation programs, job training, or mentorship programs. People who needed help, not incarceration. These meetings taught me to view cases in a holistic manner. That to better serve my community, I had to truly appreciate and understand the issues facing my community. Additionally, I sit here with the benefit of having served as a clerk magistrate, where every day I am able to help people. Sometimes it is at the counter, helping someone with a harassment order or a Section 35. Sometimes it is in the hallway, giving someone the time to express their frustration with what has happened in the courtroom. And sometimes it is in a hearing, learning about that person's individual circumstances with what brought them to court that day. These moments are my favorite part of the day, listening to others, hearing their perspectives, offering empathy and compassion, crafting creative resolutions, connecting to resources, and giving people a second chance. I know how lucky I am to hold my current position, but I believe I can offer the same empathy and understanding to even more people if you are to confirm my nomination. It has been a privilege to work in the district court. I know the incredible impact that the court can have in the lives of the people who walk through its doors. I hope to earn your confidence so that I can continue to find ways to implement these lessons I have learned throughout my personal and professional life, to offer empathy and understanding, to further promote the good work that the district courts do, and to find ways to help make it better, and to leave people feeling that the district court is a resource they can rely upon and not fear. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Lauren. Any questions, counselors? We'll start with Counselor Dolan.
Good morning, good to see you.
Good to
Thank
see
you for
you.
taking the time to speak with me. I really enjoyed our conversation. Counselor Still is a big supporter of yours. Counselor Kennedy raves about you, as I told you. That was really all I needed to know. But of course, I did have questions for you then, and I do have questions for you today. I also got a wonderful call from Parole Board Member Marlene Bonner, who spoke very, very highly of you. I'm very confident about your capabilities and your judgment and your temperament, your understanding of the law. But as I told you, one of the things I like to do at Governor's Council's hearings, even when I know the answer, there are people watching who don't know the answer. And there are folks who haven't had the benefit of the conversation we had, who will look at your resume and say, she's only been a prosecutor. How can we trust her to see both sides fairly? What do you say to those folks?
Well, I would say to those folks that they stopped reading my resume, because you're right, I was a prosecutor for 13 years. After I left the district attorney's office, I came and I worked in the governor's legal office for 3.5 years, and I gained a lot of valuable experience there. But also for the past 3 years, I've served as a clerk magistrate. And I think it's that experience which has been really impactful and important as I consider this next opportunity. As you know, Counselor, as a clerk magistrate, I have the benefit of sitting in show cause hearings, small claims cases. I'm not playing the role of an advocate. I have to play the role of a neutral, impartial individual. And I have to give both sides the opportunity to be heard. And in that role, I think I've really honed my ability to kind of sit and listen to everyone and hear the different perspectives that come before me.
I'm glad you mentioned being clerk magistrate. I think it's a misunderstood role. One of the things that we talked about is the fact that it can be a diversion program and how important that is. Can you just help educate folks about how that works and your view of it?
Sure. The role of the clerk magistrate, as you know, is sitting in, and often in situations such as show cause hearings, where the police have brought charges and there's a hearing to determine whether or not these charges should move forward. And at this stage, somebody's record is protected. And these are the hearings where you have the opportunity to really hear somebody's perspective, what somebody is dealing with, and find opportunities to help redirect them to resources and opportunities for rehabilitation. So whether that's coming up with opportunities to do community service, whether that's opportunities to do rehabilitation programs, it gives you a chance to give somebody a second, sometimes a third chance, and to protect people's records. And it's an important part of the role.
Thank you. When you were working for former Governor Charlie Baker, you worked on something that was unfortunately referred to as the dangerousness bill, expanding the misidentified dangerousness statute. It is, of course, the pretrial detention statute. It's a highly prejudicial to call it the dangerousness statute. But we talked about what that would have done and the concerns I had about your presiding over pretrial detention hearings, how important it is to address implicit bias, not to misjudge folks, not to see certain things as being indicators of dangerousness when they're not. I was satisfied by your answers, but can you satisfy the people who are watching?
Sure, absolutely. What we discussed, Councilor Dolan, is the fact that anytime you're taking you're potentially going to be dealing with somebody's liberty. It's a serious consideration. And I think as a judge, it's important to make sure that you have all the information and that you're asking the right questions during those types of hearings to make sure you understand what the actual situation before you is. And often, sometimes people can make decisions in a knee-jerk reaction, prosecutors and defense attorneys. And so I think as a judge, it's important to take the time to make sure you're really reviewing all of the important information before you make such a decision. And I would pledge to do that.
And as we talked about, the law requires judges to find the least restrictive alternative that would ensure the safety of the public. So can you just address that issue?
Absolutely. So often, sometimes you might be able to craft situations such as GPS or such as curfews, such as different check-ins with the probation department. You can set parameters that would still potentially protect an individual victim's safety without actually restricting somebody's liberty by holding them incarcerated.
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you, Counselor Dorn. Counselor Iannella?
Thank you very much. First of all, your Counselor Civil is a big supporter of yours. I don't have any questions. I mean, I've known you since you initially worked here in the governor's office. You have a great educational background. One blemish on that is obviously you went to Boston Latin like I did, that's great. Went to Suffolk Law School, I did, that's great. I don't know if your son is into college hockey, but the big rivalry is Boston College and Boston University. You'll find that as you get older. I went to BC, your mother went to BU, so it's the only. But it's the most important thing, you said you were great, but right there, your father and mother, for you folks who don't know, they lived, what, 100 yards away from my home. They're great people. My right was Mary Lou Jens, yeah, it's pretty good. We have a long history. Ward 19, precinct 2, that's where we all live. We have two judges, an appeals court judge and a district court judge just on the street. And they live, they're all like so close. No, I think you're gonna be a great addition to the court. Do wanna let you know that your friend, and I've known him since he was an ice cream truck driver, Howard Cahalis. He called me Monday, he says, oh, I can't wait to go to Lauren's hearing. Called me this morning, he says, I got a relapse. I got COVID back. He was negative for 2 days and he's back. But you obviously know he's a strong supporter. Dr. Bonner called me. She thinks the world of you. Yeah, you're gonna be a great addition to the court. I can't wait to support you.
Thank you, Counselor Iannella. Counselor Ziegler?
Thank you, Counselor. A pleasure to see you again. I appreciate the time that you took to meet with me prior to this hearing, and congratulations on your nomination. I did want to say for the record, I did get a couple of calls on your behalf, and I did get a lovely letter from my predecessor from District 5, Eileen Duff. And she says, "Dear counselors, I enthusiastically endorse Lauren Greene in her recent nomination as a judge to the district court. I had the pleasure of working with Lauren during Governor Baker's tenure and found her to be right, accommodating, and kind. What suits her best for the bench is her excellent grasp of the law and her temperament. She will make a fine judge and make all of Massachusetts proud. My only regret is that I cannot be there to endorse her in person. Thank you for your consideration and the important work that you do, Eileen Duff, who now serves as a register of deeds." So I wanted to share that with you and put that on the record. So during our conversation, we talked about a couple of things. I found your response to, what you feel the role of a judge to be and what you would like your reputation to be as a judge to be refreshing. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to share that. We talked about, your reputation you want to set and why district court. So if you can speak a little bit on that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Counselor. We talked about the fact that, my hope would be that I would help. I think currently right now our district courts are in a little bit of a difficult position due to a myriad of factors. And people don't always think about their district court as a community resource. And so my hope would be if I were able to that I would be the type of judge who would give people an opportunity to be heard, to
play a more proactive role in reaching out to different community groups to find ways to connect them with the court system, to help the probation department, making sure that we were able to connect to all the available resources in the area. And so that when people came into the district court that I was sitting in, that they would understand that this was a place where they were going to be able to be connected with opportunities and resources to help improve their situations.
And when we talk a little bit about resources as well. Can you talk to what you find to be the most pressing issues that's facing the court right now?
Sure. Well, I think talked about kind of on the micro and macro levels, and on the micro level, I think it's interpreter services. I think that we have an excellent use of Zoom for our interpreter services, but still we are really lacking on having the importance of having an in-court interpreter, somebody who's able to actually speak with somebody. I think it's difficult for often the attorneys who are in the courtroom to be able to have a minute to speak with their client, and the interpreter is on Zoom. They don't have that ability to have a one-on-one conversation in the hallway, make sure that they're connecting. And I think that, for certain languages, there's just not enough interpreters available in the Commonwealth. So it become a real problem, especially American Sign Language is one that comes to mind that we certainly have had difficulties with securing interpreter services in Stoughton for. And on a macro level, I think the courts right now, as we discussed, are areas that, again, for a myriad of reasons, a lot of people are nervous to come into court for help. And I think finding ways to kind of show that the district court is a place where the community is going to be heard, listened, and respected and safe is an important step to take.
For sure, especially your take on the language access and interpretation that's needed is going to be something that is going to be key to ensuring that folks can participate in the judicial process and be heard. We talked about different ways you can be creative in doing so. You mentioned some courts have a Zoom room, but there isn't quite space in Stoughton to have a Zoom room. So, maybe that could be something we look at as, maybe there's an offsite location or some other resource that could help to ameliorate that language access issue that we're seeing, and also advocacy for individuals who may have capabilities in other languages to volunteer or to sign up to be interpreters. We need interpreters in the courts, in all courts, not just the district courts. So I appreciate that you're ear to the ground on that, and that's something that you're interested in working on. Additionally, we spoke about our shared interest in housing advocacy and the fact that people come to the courts for a myriad of reasons. Some may be housing insecure and or homeless, or a little bit of both, and how the role of the judge is to not just be punitive, but to look at the person in front of them holistically. Can you talk about how you would approach cases that come before you that have individuals who are experiencing homelessness, and how you plan to approach that?
Sure. As we discussed, I think if you have housing insecurity, to be able to assume that you're going to be able to operate with a clear mind in all circumstances, when you're not exactly sure where you're going to sleep every night, is a huge issue. And it's a huge trauma that goes through many of the litigants who come through the district court. And one of the things that we spoke about was the fact that in Stoughton District Court recently, Judge Walsh and I were speaking with the clerk of the Metro South Housing Court and finding an opportunity to bring a satellite housing court session to Stoughton, so that individuals who are having issues with housing insecurity and individuals who are having issues on summary process cases would be able to, instead of us redirecting them to another courthouse, but we would be able to say, on Thursdays at this time, we're going to have not only the housing court here, but we're also going to have what's important about the housing court is the case specialists that they bring, who have a wealth of knowledge about resources and opportunities to be able to help and get people back on their feet. And so I think finding ways to, again, connect resources and connect those community groups with the district court is an important thing to do.
I appreciate that. One of the things that I find to be a strength is that you are a clerk magistrate, and so you have that lens of being first face people see, or you're staffing the first faces that people see when they enter into the court and trying to do a lot of the administrative tasks. And so bringing that lens to the bench and ensuring that you're setting an environment that is efficient, one that is very thoughtful in approach and how you're seeking justice, or folks are able to attain justice within your courtroom, I think would be a great addition to the bench. So I appreciate your thoughtfulness in answering my questions, and congratulations again on your nomination.
Thank you, Counselor Ziegler. Counselor Kennedy?
We were joined by the Chief Court Officer, Sergeant at Arms of the House of Representatives.
Thank you for
I've
noting.
met him before, Ray, your friend of mine. And the clerk magistrate, former deputy legal counsel of the Cambridge District Court, Sharon Casey. A couple other folks came in here while you were waiting. Who came in? Were you invited? Anybody else you invited?
Those are my folks.
Do you know? Okay. Just wondering, make sure everybody's introduced. Obviously, I don't have. I'm gonna be delighted to vote for you next week. I think that you're just terrific in a home run. You've been terrific from the day I met you when you were a prosecutor and all the way through your work here in Stoughton. And anybody who doesn't vote for you probably is using poor judgment, but I don't think that's gonna happen. You're all. I'll vote for you next week.
Thank you, Counselor Kennedy. Counselor DiPaolo?
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination. For 2 years, you endured hearings where I had a lot of questions. Today's not one of them. Because I wasn't always thrilled with decisions coming down, but I think you and I always dealt with each other with respect and never let that influence things. I do want to, obviously, I'm not the only one who Dr. Bonner got to, but she did ask me to reference something very specific, so I'm going to do that. Attorney Greene's one of those unique people who will make the right decision for the right reason, even if it's unpopular, and at her own expense because of who she is. She's the most fair and just person I have ever met during my tenure. That's pretty high praise. And that was Dr. Bonner. She could use another forensic psychologist alongside her on the parole board, I suspect.
She lost. I'm sad that she lost the one that she had.
Absolutely, 100%. She's doing a great job from the time she was appointed. Every once in a while, another English major comes through, and I know because they quote some piece of literature. I'm going to be happy to support you. You're going to be a great judge.
Thank you. Counselor DiPaolo. Counselor Jacobs?
It's good to see you. We had a good conversation, and I really enjoyed getting to know you. I one of the few who doesn't have deep personal extensive relationship prior to today or this week, so it was a good opportunity to really hear about your origins and your education and your philosophies. A couple of questions I planned to ask today have already been asked. So let me ask you this, particularly with the perspective you've gained as a clerk magistrate. What are your thoughts about, and just to preface it, coming from the standpoint of, knowing there are disparities in our justice system, knowing that, work has been done on reporting on racial disparities. But work like that is grounded in data collection. And the clerk's office, from my perspective, is a key point of initial data collection and intake. And we can only assess what we have data to look at. And so, while race is an area that's obviously important, there's other demographic factors that can be important in understanding what the trends are, what outcomes, what biases may be happening on the outcome standpoint in terms of sentencing, but also understanding outcomes in terms of, you just spoke about diversion and rehabilitative programming. Without data, it's hard to know which are those that really drive change, where resources are best spent. So having said all of that, the question I want to put to you is, what do you see as potential areas of improvement in how our justice system collects and analyzes data to head us towards a more justice system?
Sure. I think that recently, the district court, the administrative office of the district court has done some great work in finding different programs and different data reporting sources. They, and there's been a lot of changes to mass courts, which is the system that keeps track of all these cases. In ways to be able to collate all that information in terms of what bail was set on a case, what the defendant distributions are, what sentences are. And these reports have been generated and are starting to be generated on a more regular basis so that the court can have moments of self-reflection and go back and take a look at it. It started really with time standards to make sure our cases were being addressed in an efficient and timely manner. And I think that the goal of the court at this point is to be able to take all of this data and find different opportunities to make sure that we are doing a good job of self-reflection and self-policing ourselves to make sure we're addressing those concerns.
Can you be specific on what changes have been recently implemented that are different than what were prior?
So I can't speak to a long history with it, but I do know that more recently, it's the DRAP reports have been generated a little bit more frequently and sent out to.
What does that stand for?
Judges. I think I want to say it's data resource. I apologize. There's a lot of initials in the trial court that none of them exactly what stand for. But they've done a much better job, I think, in trying to kind of collate this information and be able to share it with individuals. I don't know that that was something that was being done quite with such frequency 15 years ago. Certainly when I was in the district attorney's office, we didn't hear about that information being shared. But bless you, I do know that now in my 3 years being at the clerk's office, I've seen more increase in that kind of communication coming from the administrative office and making sure that we're looking at our numbers and we're looking at these kind of areas.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Jacobs. Counselor Ferreira.
Thank you. You guys think I'm just playing with my phone, but I was actually posting a Facebook post about this hearing right now. We worked there for 3.5 years and you were pivotal in making over 100 judges. No one today, not even you, talked about that you're actually qualified to do the job. Like your experience is mind-boggling, which I just read about 1 o'clock this morning, but all those years I knew you, I didn't know you did all these things before you came here. So Assistant District Attorney, Dorchester District Court for 3 years, Assistant District Attorney, Major Felony Bureau for 5 years, Supervising Assistant District Attorney, West Roxbury, 2 years, Supervising Assistant District Attorney, Dorchester, 4 years, Acting Chief of the District Court, 1 year, Executive Director of the JNC, Deputy Legal Counsel.
Well, that you can't keep a job.
They moved her around a lot, yeah. I think you're gonna be an outstanding judge. You were super to work with. You called it as you saw it. You were unflappable. Even when other people would be flopping hysterically, you were unflappable. For 3.5 years, you did a great job. And I always told everybody, Governor Baker and for Governor Haley, it wasn't about what party are you a member of. I think you were equally, I don't know, I haven't done the numbers, but I would say as many Democrats got on as Republicans while you were the deputy. Because you saw people for who they are, what their temperament is, how smart they are, and you're a great judge of character. So for that, we have a better judiciary, and I thank you, as well as Sharon Casey here, and the current legal counselors, all here for the right reasons. And I promise I will take to my grave your answer when I asked you who your all-time favorite counselor was. Be voting for you today or next week, whenever they want to call the roll call. Thank you.
If it was him, he wouldn't take it, it was grave. Say.
It wasn't you, Terry.
Thank you, Counselor Ferreira. I don't have any questions, but it's more of a statement for Lauren. Maya Angelou says, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Lauren is definitely qualified, but for me, it's her professionalism and the opportunity that I had first meeting her and being able to watch her through her, her being my supervisor. I first met Lauren in Dorchester District Court in 2014. We worked together. I was a victim witness advocate. I would watch her. I would see how she would react with victims. I would also see, which was very refreshing, how police officers would come into the office and ask for a warrant, and she would push back. She would not just sign the warrant off. She would read the report and she would say, something is missing, something is not making sense. And her temperament, professionalism, and she always goes above and beyond. She's always tugging me, Tamisha, can you help me with this Haitian Creole interpretation so that we can get this restraining order going? So we always had a professional relationship, which was very respectful. I went on to other various courts and then we lost contact. And fast forward 2022, I'm working for the Massachusetts Probation Department. And I hear these heels clicking in the hallway and someone comes in, hi, I'm Lauren. I want to introduce myself. I'm like, Lauren who? And then I see her face and it's Lauren Greene. Lauren was, very, very professional in Stoughton. She was our clerk magistrate. Within a couple of days, she's in the session, she's watching the judge, she's learning, and she's actually chairing the sessions. And I'm like, you just got here, and she's watching everyone, making sure that everything is going smoothly. She's asking me, how did she do? And I'm like, you're doing great. And looking back at starting from 2014, haven't seen her, and then 2022, seeing her now, I never thought I would be in a position where I would be chairing a hearing, putting judges in different courts and nominating them. And I can't forget to say thank you to, I'll always be grateful to Counselor Ziegler pulling my ear. Did you pull your paper? Did you pull your paper? I say this is that you never know where you're gonna be. You never know what life has in store for you. I'm not nominating you because I've worked with you. I'm nominating you because of your professionalism and what I've seen with my own eyes, how you interacted with victims or defendants who are screaming at you in front of the clerk's office, and you're like standing there listening to them, pleading with them that you're going to help them. You always are there to help someone regardless of what they look like and what the situation is. And I know as an ADA, they consider prosecutors to be tough, but I've also seen you work out dispositions with defense attorneys, not only helping the victim, but also helping defendants as well. And these are the things that we look for, making sure that we are accountable, putting people who will do the job respectfully. And I truly believe that you would do that. Because it would be 4:30, leaving the courtroom in Stoughton, you would call me before I hit the door, Tamisha, I need your help. But why wouldn't I stop and help Lauren? And court's about to close, and if I don't help her, we'll be here until like 6 o'clock. But, I'm so happy to be here and so very grateful to be in a position to help put judges on the bench that will make transformative change. With that being said, it is 11:44. Hearings adjourned. No. All right.
kicked off here, and I'd like to recognize Counselor Ziegler for a moment of prayer and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance as we get started.
For a moment of reflection, when we grace this chamber, we do so with great duty to enhance the integrity of our courts and protect justice across the Commonwealth. Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird once said, "Our courts have our faults, as does any human institution. But in this country, our courts are the great levelers, and in our courts, all men are created equal." May we lead with respect, and may we keep to heart the best interest of the communities in which we serve. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Excellent. We've got a special guest, Sharon. Great to have you back. Spent a lot of hours in this council chamber. But you're not sick of us yet, apparently, so that's great.
Misses him.
Perfect. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ferreira for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So move, Governor.
Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Iannella. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Dolan for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Iannella. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ziegler for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Honorable Joanna Rodriguez to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court.
I'd like to make that motion, and for the record, I'd like to say that she was an absolutely refreshing candidate. She has years of experience, and I know that she will bring such a renewed sense of empathy and integrity to the bench, and I implore my fellow counselors to vote in favor of her nomination.
Thank you, Counselor Ziegler, and a second from Counselor Jacobs. Any other questions or comments wanting to be offered? If not, I will ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor Ziegler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
Counselor Powell,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs,
Yes.
Counselor Ferrera.
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan. Yes. Counselor Iannella.
Yes.
8 members voting, 8 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I'd now like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of the Honorable Emily Carstetter to the position of Associate Justice of the Superior Court.
With great pleasure, I make that motion.
It's been made by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Ferreira. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
Counselor Powell,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs. Yes. Counselor Ferrera,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Iannella,
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler.
Yes.
8 members voting, 8 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I think that concludes our business. I don't think we have any hearings to schedule, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor DePaulo, seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Nominate Hector Zumbado to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Maura T. Healy. This is what officially nominates you to be a judge. Do you have a copy of this?
I do not.
You do now. Give them that. Here. Frame it. Look good. All right. Now, so far, we have Councilor Dolan here and myself, Terrence Kennedy, and the other councilors will be wandering in, trust me, very shortly. So we're gonna start by having you introduce your family and friends.
Yes, thank you very much. So I'm delighted to introduce my wife, Ellen.
Hi.
As you'll notice, and I mentioned to Councilor Dolan, I clearly married well above my pay grade, but my son, Adam, I have two sons. Unfortunately, Alex couldn't be here due to work commitments, but yeah.
What does Adam do?
Adam is well,
Engineer, right?
he's an engineer.
I remember.
He's in his third year at Northeastern University.
Yeah.
He just came off summer associate internship at WilmerHale. And he's extremely bright. Last year, he interned for Judge Burroughs in the federal court.
Oh, very good.
I'm also delighted to introduce Stephen Rapinski. He's my witness, and his lovely wife, Rose Lee. My other witness is the Honorable Karen Mitchell Univar.
I think she was just here like 2 weeks ago.
It feels like this, yeah.
But go ahead. Okay, so those are your witnesses. Anybody else introduce?
Nobody else.
All right. So we're gonna start with your first witness. Is she on Zoom?
I hope she is. I checked.
Well, we're gonna ask our expert, Aaron. Aaron, do we have Judge Mitchell Minovar there? If not, we'll skip to the second. We'll go back to her.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Judge. Welcome back. Weren't you just here like 2 weeks ago?
It was a little more than 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks and 3 days.
All right. So what would you like to say about the nominee? We'd love to hear from you.
What can I say about him? So first of all, I want to thank the council members for giving me this opportunity to speak on Attorney Zumbado's behalf. I've known Attorney Zumbado for over a decade now. We first met as panelists for an admissions open house for our law school alma mater, New England Law Boston. And we were asked to share with potential students why we chose the legal profession, and specifically why we chose to be a part of the Massachusetts legal community. I learned from that panel that Attorney Zumbado came from extremely humble beginnings. And like me, he saw law school and serving the legal community, not as a right, but as a privilege. And I was struck mostly by Attorney Zumbado's thoughtfulness and humility and genuine authenticity. I knew at this moment I had to have this man as a part of my tribe. In addition to having a very successful law practice, practicing both in district court and in superior court and in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and I'm probably forgetting a state, Attorney Zumbado really and truly gives of himself tirelessly. He's availed himself to the law school on numerous occasions, participating in panels, volunteering as a moot court coach for the National Hispanic Bar Association, and individually mentoring students, not only with their career paths, but just as genuine support. And the students have gravitated to him and will continue to do so. And in his spare time, he also manages to teach trial practice as an adjunct professor. And I mean, no disrespect to my alma mater, but you do not get rich teaching adjunct at New England Law Boston. So he truly does it for the love of the law and the love for helping to train future lawyers so that when they appear in front of us, they actually know what they're doing. Also impressive is Attorney Zumbado's commitment to give back to those who have contributed to his success by paying it forward. He's provided the financial means for at least 4 of his administrative assistants to attend college and obtain their bachelor degree. This generosity and desire to uplift those around him comes naturally to him. What I have observed over the past 13 or 14 years is Attorney Zumbado's discipline, compassion, thoughtfulness, and ability to empathize is consistent, regardless of what setting he's in or outside of the court, whether he's talking to colleagues, students, or judges. What you see is truly what you get. And I believe that you will observe that on the bench. I'm so proud to call, I said professor, I keep going back to professor and attorney because he's both to me. So Attorney Zumbado as a mentor and as a coveted member of the Mitchell Munevar tribe. As one of his students recently described him, and I hope, Hector, you are okay with me sharing this, because as I said, he tends to be extremely humble. Professor Zumbado's deep integrity, sharp intellect, unwavering commitment to justice has long set him apart, not only as a legal scholar, but as a human being. Those fortunate enough, and I include myself in that, to have learned under his guidance know firsthand the kind of wisdom, character, and thoughtfulness he brings to every endeavor. I could not have said it better myself, and I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I have no doubt whatsoever that these characteristics will transfer beautifully to the bench, and I truly believe we'll be lucky to have him as a member of the judiciary. I know, Counselor Kennedy, you said be very brief, so I try to adhere to that.
Oh, you can talk as much as you want. I'll relieve you, but you can keep going.
Thank you so much. I appreciate again the opportunity to testify on Attorney Zumbado's behalf.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the judge? Judge, we appreciate you coming back here. You're very brave to do that. And we know you're doing a great job. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
I'm going to call the next witness, which is Stephen Rapinski from the town of Sherborne. That's something like Worcester, right? That's in Mass. Yeah, did you manage to see the ocean when you got here?
Oh, it was amazing.
Okay.
So, honorable members of the council, thank you for having me. My name is Stephen Rapinski, and it's a privilege to be here today in support of Hector Zumbado's nomination to the bench. Unlike many others you may hear from today, I'm not a lifelong attorney. After more than 2 decades in the software development and operations in the pharmaceutical industry, I decided to attend law school, not to chase prestige or position, but to find a way to serve my community more directly. Early in that journey, I was matched with Hector through New England Law Boston's mentoring program. I didn't know it then, but I was about to receive one of the most meaningful professional relationships of my life. From day one, Hector offered me his time, his encouragement, and just as importantly, his candor. When I was buried under bar prep, Hector never once expressed doubt. He called to check in, listened without judgment, and always spoke to me like someone he fully expected to see thrive in the profession. That belief in me made a real difference. Hector also invited me into his world, quite literally. At his suggestion, I observed him conduct an arbitration. It was his idea, not mine, and he framed it as a valuable learning opportunity, a chance to see how lawyers and disputing parties could work together to reach an equitable resolution without further burdening an already strained court system. But what struck me most wasn't the process itself, it was the way Hector conducted it. The arbitration involved an elderly plaintiff, a man with a heavy story and limited energy. From the moment it began, Hector set a deliberate, measured tone, conducting the session at a pace the gentleman could follow. At one point, a question triggered a painful memory, and the man broke down while speaking about his late wife. Hector didn't gloss over it. He paused the proceeding, offered comfort, and let the moment breathe. Yes, I saw legal professionalism that day, but more than that, I saw someone who made it his duty to ensure that this man felt heard, not just processed, but heard. That's the kind of presence Hector brings to the table, and that's exactly the kind of presence we need on the bench. What has stayed with me since then is how quietly consistent Hector is about the values that define good lawyers, and I would argue good judges. He has spoken to me many times about pro bono work, not in some grandstanding or performative way, but with a deep, steady belief that people who can't afford legal help still deserve legal help. He shared stories of his own pro bono efforts, not to impress, but to model what it means to contribute meaningfully to your community. It's clear to me and to many others that Hector Zumbado doesn't just practice law, he elevates it. Judge Robert Morrow, who served as a Superior Court judge in New Hampshire for 21 years, put it best in a letter to this council. He said, if you were to create the template of a perfect judge, you couldn't do better than Hector, and I agree. Hector is calm, ethical, empathetic, and wise. He brings legal acumen without arrogance, moral clarity without self-righteousness, and deep experience without ever forgetting the humanity of the people in front of him. He doesn't need to become a judge to demonstrate these qualities. He already lives them every day. Appointing Hector Zumbado to the bench won't transform him into something new. It will simply recognize who he already is and give him the opportunity to bring those values into a role where they are desperately needed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, and that ends the witnesses in favor of the nominee. Are there any witnesses in opposition to the nominee? Mara, will you check security, see if there's a line out there? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the portion of the witnesses, and the floor is yours, Attorney Zumbado.
Thank you very much.
That looks awfully long. Can you tear it in half?
I beg your pardon?
Enjoy your moment. Enjoy that.
Counselors, it is truly an honor and a privilege to be here. I thank you for your time, for the consideration you're about to give my nomination. I also want to thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for this nomination and the trust and high compliment that's implied. Thanks to Chief Legal Counsel Jesse Badu and Lieutenant Legal Counsel Derek Kesselheim, who have been absolutely unbelievable. Thank you to Kimberly and the entire team in your office. I would also like to thank Sonia Altamirano at the Governor's Counsel's office and her team. My thanks also go to the JNC, to my loving family for their support, and of course to my witnesses, the Honorable Karen Mitchell and my friend Stephen Rubinski. Counselors, you already know quite a bit about me, about my academic and professional qualifications. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about me, my family, and where I come from. I was born in Costa Rica. I grew up in fairly extreme poverty. We lived out in the countryside, a very remote area of Costa Rica. There were only dirt roads, no public transportation. The nearest town was about we were very poor. My father was a laborer. My mother stayed home to raise me and my siblings, and she also worked picking coffee, and she would sew at night to try and make ends meet. My siblings and I, since we're 7 years of age, we would help our family also by picking coffee during school vacations and after school. This was probably my first introduction to knowing what hard work looks like. Of course, I had seen it in particularly my mother. It was a little harder with my father because he was an alcoholic. And actually, probably some of our financial struggles were due to that. He was unable to hold a job, and it created a lot of difficulties. But I remember feeling embarrassed by the way we lived, hopeless, and very unlucky. in these situations, you can see the glass half empty, or you can see it half full. I chose the latter. Turns out,
Wait a minute, we're good.
sorry,
No, don't be sorry.
turns out I really was very fortunate. I had a lot of love. And while my father was an alcoholic, my mother loved us for the both of them. Sorry. I've gone through this story before and it's never any easier. But anyway, she was a brilliant woman, my mother. She always encouraged us to study. And somehow, even though she had limited education, she knew that a good education was the key. Well, I was lucky because they loved me. She loved me so much. Then when I started going to school, I also learned how lucky I was. It turns out school came easy for me. So that was a lucky break. I enjoyed learning. I could see how the horizons would expand. Soon, even though I was just a kid, I knew I wanted to make something of myself. Well, the nearest high school was an hour away in the town I mentioned. 1 hour's walk each way. Again, no public transportation. So once again, the value of hard work, but somehow I knew it was worth it, so I did. After high school, going to college really just didn't seem feasible. But more luck came my way. In 1986, I had the opportunity to come to the United States in a cultural exchange program. And they placed me with a family in Hampton Falls, New Hampshire. Once again, a very, very lucky break for me. My host father, he offered to pay for my education and to stay with them. So I did. I went to the University of New Hampshire. And once again, more luck. I met my wife.
That's luck so far, right?
Very far.
That's luck out of everything so far, right?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Move.
Smart too.
When I'm going to UNH, the results may vary, but I also got an education there. So together we have wonderful sons, Adam and Alex. Unfortunately, Alex wasn't able to be here due to his work commitments and he lives out of state. Alex is amazing. If he wasn't my son, I would still want to be friends with him. He's smart, he's kind, he's a really nice guy. He's 27, he's married, and he's in civil engineering. Then, you've met Adam. Super handsome guy. He's a mechanical engineer. He worked as an engineer for a few years and then he decided to go to law school. He's a third year at Northeastern University. He's just coming off a summer associate internship at Homer Hale, where they absolutely loved him. Last year, he interned for Judge Barrows in the federal court. School comes easy for him as well. So we've had a lot of fortune. After law school, just briefly, I went to work for the law firm that my host father owned. And I had the opportunity to meet clients from all walks of life. And this was especially interesting for me because I remember going to their homes sometimes. And many lived very modestly. This was familiar to me. I had lived that. I remember seeing that some of them felt embarrassed about their living conditions. That was familiar to me too. That's a feeling I have experienced. I remember the expression in their faces and I recognized them also. I saw them in my mother many times. So as of late, last several years, I've been taking court-appointed criminal cases and learning how to deal with people in vulnerable circumstances. You learn that the true essence of power is how you treat the people who are more vulnerable. So these skills of compassion, kindness, and understanding are skills that help me tremendously in dealing with my court-appointed clients, because you need that in order to earn their trust and their cooperation. Something that is essential so that you can do a good job and represent them properly. If confirmed, I will bring the same work ethic I learned as a child. I'll bring my compassion, kindness, and understanding to every case I hear. I will always treat the litigants and the attorneys with the utmost respect and courtesy. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Councilor DePaulo.
Thank you. I'm sold.
Thank you. Councilor Jacobs.
You had me tearing up. You're gonna be an amazing judge, and there's no way that robe is gonna diminish your humility and your generosity and the mentorship you've provided. We had a great conversation that I won't even bother to recount, but I was very impressed with your empathy and your motivation for being where you are. So congratulations, congrats to your family, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Jacobs.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
You know, the testimony provided by your witnesses and in your statement today are so aligned with every word in your application and the conversation that you and I had together. Just the consistency of just an amazing background, an amazing origin story. And then you embody empathy in a way that I've rarely experienced from others. And so I don't have any questions for you today, which is also rare for me.
Great.
What? I know you're stunned.
Don't.
But congratulations on your nomination.
Don't.
You had me at hello. That's all I have to say. I have to say, I do want to say one thing, not a question. I loved our conversation. Really appreciated it. I just want to point out that you started in higher education at Northern Essex Community College, and I believe very strongly in supporting our community colleges, which means you need to support our community college students and graduates. So thank you. I will. It'll be a wonderful.
Okay, Councilor Ziegler. If this is going too slow for you, let me.
Thank you, Atty. Zumbado. It was great to see you in person. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me prior to this hearing. I appreciate your vulnerability and your candor and how you recount your experiences and your approach to justice. I did truly enjoy our conversation, as I said, and I wanted to give opportunity in the public forum for you to share some of your insights. So we talked about what type of courtroom you would like to establish, what type of environment you would like to establish, and the reputation that you would like to hold as a judge. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to share that public forum.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, those were very manly tears, just so everybody knows. So my hope, and thank you for bringing that up. So judges all develop some kind of reputation, right? Sometimes people say, oh, they're easy to deal with, or so-and-so is harsh, etc. My hope is that my reputation is that I will follow the law, will scrutinize the facts, but that whenever you're in front of me, you will be treated with respect and with courtesy. It's so essential that a judge does that because it sets the tone for the participants. And particularly in the criminal cases, oftentimes you have someone who was just arrested the night before. They may not be well because they're withdrawing from drugs they may have taken, or they may have mental health problems. And if you manage to begin de-escalating the situation before it even gets out of hand, it'll be easier for that person to go through the process. It'll be easier for that person to speak to their lawyer and be able to move forward with the case. So my hope is that I can set a good example and a good tone for the attorneys and even the litigants, so that the court where I sit is a place where no one has to be scared to come into.
I appreciate that, and I also appreciate the importance that you place on the role. We talked about, you know, what you would do in your first 3 years, right? And you mentioned that you would look to see what type of resources were available, you know. And I think that's key, because in that seat, you have the power to make or break someone's life. We talked about how you'd go about that, and I asked you, is there some sort of orientation that you would do, or is there some sort of resource document? And we talked about the idea that should you be confirmed, and I mean, you're counting, right? You have the opportunity to really create some great impact. But we talked about perhaps getting a one feeder together or an FAQ together, so that it's easier to reference.
Right, yeah, no, I think we came up with a pretty good idea. So, and I think it was your idea actually. But so I must admit at this point, I don't know exactly what resources are there for judges. I've already heard from the Chief Justice of the District Court, and they already assigned a mentor, and I understand there's a lot of resources available like that. But in either event, if they don't have it, I would want to, as you suggested, have a sheet of resources like housing options for people that so often, and I've had some of these cases that this person was arrested, they couldn't make bail, so they lose their housing. And so even if their case gets dismissed or they get acquitted, now they're acquitted to the street and they have to start over. So if there's a way in a plea agreement or in sentencing to include whether it's treatment or housing options, that goes a long ways. I know this has been said before, but I'm a firm believer that jails are not treatment centers. And so while people need to be accountable, it is also important to help them. And both things can happen. It doesn't have to just be punishment. You can also help them. And it'll alleviate our legal system also if we can see to it that these folks don't have to come back. So I intend to do that.
Thank you. I'll be checking in on you, should you get confirmed. But I appreciate your thoughtfulness. Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you. Hector, congratulations on your nomination.
thank you.
We had a great conversation, and I am pleased to know that, you know, you've put in a lot of work to be where you are now. We talked about how you just even started in becoming an attorney. It was an exchange student. Your father, your surrogate father, told you that you would be great at being an attorney, and just knowing the history of where you started. We talked about how you went to school with no shoes, and we talked about you being bilingual and being able to understand what due process means when it comes to people coming into the court who is not from this country, and making sure that they are being heard and also being given a judgment that is fair. What do you think, based on your personal experience, that you can provide and give to those who are seeking some guidance or help when they come to you in the courtroom?
Yeah, well, I think first, my treatment of litigants and people in the court will be the same for everyone, whether they're specifically seeking it or not. But there are folks that are actually seeking help. I have had clients that say, gee, can we talk to the judge about putting me someplace to treat, because I know I have some mental health issues and that triggers me, and that's why I keep getting in trouble. So I think probably picking up where Counselor Ziegler left off, that having resources that I am familiar with, so once I find out where I'll be sitting, to know in that particular community, where are the shelters, where are the resources to help people find jobs and things of that nature. In regards to folks that come from other countries or different cultures, I am so fortunate that I have a little bit of a window where I can see how sometimes cultural differences and language barriers and things of that nature interfere with people being able to navigate the legal system. So I'm very pleased to hopefully have a leg up on being able to identify those issues and address them as we go through the process or a disposition of a case.
And I think it's very important to let our constituents know, not only you were vulnerable enough to, explain to me your life and your experience, but it kind of hits home. Being a Haitian American, my parents came into this country with little to nothing. Just being able to provide an opportunity for me to live the American dream, which is right now. And I can honestly say that this is the American dream. You give an opportunity to come to this country to make of what is given to you and so into the community that you're in and giving back. You became an attorney, now you're here, fast forward, nominated to become a judicial judge in district court. So I think it's very important for people to see that, but also know that the hard work that it took you to get to this position, and nothing is taken for granted. And I hope that people in the community can see that working hard and perseverance and being persistent can take them to the position that you're in now. So congratulations.
Thank you. You're what the American dream should be. I'm not sure that it is today, but when you came here and where you come from, to be sitting here to about to become a district court judge, that's what the American dream should be. I did notice something in your resume though. It said languages. You put Spanish. What happened to English?
No, it's,
You speak both languages, right? I'm just saying. I just noticed it. Might be me. I just might have misread it. We're adjourned.